Hello, everybody, and welcome to Soul School. I am Rupert, and I'm standing in this evening for Andrea. I'd like to welcome to this session with me Laura and Brendan. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you, Rupert.
You're very welcome. So today we are going to talk about moral consideration. And in particular, we can think about questions like, are criminals worthy of our moral consideration? Should we be nice to animals? Is it possible to be inconsiderate to a tree? Is it wrong to damage a rock? Who or what is worthy of our moral consideration? And what do I mean by being moral? Well, everybody has a different idea of what we mean by being moral. But just to make things a little bit simpler, today we're going to think about who should we be kind to? Who should we be respectful to? Who should we be tolerant of? Who should we be honest with? And who should we be considerate of? So I'm just going to ask Laura to start with. Do you have any initial reactions to those questions that I've been asking?
Absolutely. Working in the sheriff's department, your morals are like watched. You are watched 1000%, 24/7. And whatever you do, if you were in service as a correction officer or a deputy sheriff or police officer, etc., individuals out there look at you because first you have a badge, so you're a leader. You're supposed to be observing and respecting the law and upholding the law for whoever you are serving in what area you're serving for. If you, as a judge, even in this position, are having cases for drunk driving, and you convict several people, or maybe not convict because there was a lack of evidence, but yet you go out afterwards and have yourself a drink and you drink and drive. Is that morally correct? No, it is not.
Okay. So just in case people don't know here, Laura used to be a police person, a sheriff?
I served as deputy sheriff for the city of Hampton in the state of Virginia. My last position was in the court services where I would protect the judge, and I also would do transportation back and forth, extraditing prisoners to the jails for their court hearings.
Fantastic. You're also a martial arts expert?
Yes, 28 years I've been doing Hapkido. And I'm a master 6th degree. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's important. You as a teacher, now as an instructor and a business owner, a school owner, you're working with many people of different ages, different background, ethnics, religions. You must be in the center of that line. You have to be very cautious. Yes.
Yeah, you have to be moral to everybody.
To everybody. Yes.
Fantastic. Laura, incidentally, is, well, I would describe her as psychic and in connection very strongly with a lot of our alien friends. And in the next show this evening, In a World Awakening, Laura is going to be on that show also, talking to us about a lot of the beings that she connects with. Brendan, do you have any initial reactions to the questions that I asked?
I work at part-time at a animal sanctuary, so with horses, so rescued brumbies, because they're getting a bit discriminated against in Australia. So we rescue them and taking them in, and try and give them the best life we can, and adopt a lot of them off. And I think working with them, they're amazing beings, and and you really build up like friendships and become like part of your family, and yeah, they're amazing creatures.
So when you rescue these horses, what sort of situations are you rescuing them from?
They've been trapped in the wild, so because they'll be unfortunately killed. So yeah, we go out to the people who have trapped them and we rescue them from there, because if we don't, then yeah, they can end up in a lot of trouble. So yeah, that's terrible.
What is the reason why people are trapping these horses in the wild?
They're making up because they're not native to Australia that they're damaging the environment, but it's really not true. It's made up.
What is the
because
truth?
they're building a lot of things to earn money in Australia. So like roller coasters and clearing land and everything like that. So that's probably the reason why, which is really sad because a lot of people love going and seeing the Brumbies.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The same with the kangaroos too. Yeah, they're getting a bad deal here, and they're native animals too. So yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, it's very sad when people talk about needing to cull animals because they're invasive species, or their population would go out of control if we didn't monitor the population. But really, the biggest invasive species on this planet is humans.
Yes. Yeah.
And our population is kind of out of control on this planet right now. But so it's wonderful to have both of you with your different perspectives on this show today. Laura and Brendan, in my mind, they're just kind of, I don't mean just kind of, but they're regular people who are really nice people. They're not big celebrities, but they're the kind of people that I hope that one day they do get to be big celebrities. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if in the future you both are, because you're both very talented and very nice in a lot of different ways.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
you,
Rupert.
We're going to really delve deeply into the subject of morality today. And morality is a big, big subject. And a lot of people just think, well, I don't need to think about morality because, well, either my religion tells me this is what right is and this is what wrong is, or I just know, I just feel it. But the reality is that there's a lot of intellectualizing that we need to do as a species in order to become more moral. Because if you look at what humanity is doing to the planet right now and to each other, there's a big deficit of morality. So what is it that we can think about to help us with this subject? I'm going to approach the subject in two different ways today. The first way is we're going to just think about intellectually the subject of discrimination. And the second way into this is, we are going to think about what our feelings are about this matter. And we're going to take these two different approaches and see if we can come up with any conclusions about morality. Before we go any further, I see a lot of comments pouring in from people who are out there. I would like to say hello to Nikki. Thank you very much for being here. Hey, Melissa, it's good of you to join us. Terry, thank you for being here. Jonathan, always nice when you join us. Diana, thank you. Everybody on this planet is just as important as everybody, just as valuable as everybody else. The emotions, we need to give moral consideration to everybody. So I'm happy to just pause and say hello to all of these people who are sending us in nice messages. Thank you very much, all of you. And I'm going to stop there, otherwise we're going to run out of time to talk, but let's think about discrimination. Discrimination is treating different sentient beings differently. There's two types of discrimination, and a lot of the time when I talk about this, people say, no, there's not, there's just one kind of discrimination and it's bad. And then I explain it to them and they sort of go, oh, I hadn't thought of that. There's positive discrimination and there's negative discrimination. Positive discrimination is treating one or more sentient beings differently, but with equal goodness. An example of that is, well, let's say you have a cat as a pet and you have a rabbit as a pet. Are you going to treat them the same way? Are you going to feed them the same food? You're probably not, unless you know absolutely nothing about animals at all. But you would feed cat food to a cat and rabbit food to a rabbit, and they're very different types of food. One is a carnivore, one is a herbivore. Or how do you say it in American? Herbivore?
You said it correctly the first time, herbivore. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, good. And so when we treat those animals differently, that's discriminating between the two different animals in a positive way. That's positive discrimination. And a lot of people will think, well, in order to be moral, you just need to treat everybody the same way. But no, because not everybody is the same. Another example would be of positive discrimination. Most people, I think, would agree with this, although it's somewhat subjective and some people might disagree with this. But having separate changing rooms and shower facilities for different genders. I suspect that there's many people out there watching this show who might not feel comfortable with the idea of sharing changing rooms and shower facilities with people of the opposite gender, for example. And so when we discriminate positively between those two genders by giving them different changing rooms and shower facilities, we're doing that in order to be nice, to be good to people. That is treating different sentient beings with differently, but with equal goodness. Now, I'm sure that some people might like the idea of, sharing that sort of situation, but in general, in our society, that wouldn't work. Negative discrimination is when we treat one or more sentient beings with different levels of goodness. I'm saying the word goodness, and all of these words do need to be defined somehow down the line. But for now, I'm just going to say goodness and hope that most people know what I'm talking about, basically. Negative discrimination is a failure to be equally good to those who are different, usually from one's self. Now, an obvious example of this is racism. Most people, I think, have now figured out on this planet, certainly not everybody, but most people have figured out on this planet that slavery is not good. Slavery is a form of racism. Racism is bad. These are bad things. It's a form of negative discrimination. It's treating people differently, different people differently, with different levels of goodness. They treat people who look similar to themselves, who have similar ethnic backgrounds, with a higher standard than people who have different ethnic backgrounds or appearances. That's negative discrimination. Sexism is another type of negative discrimination. Most people, I think, I'm not even sure if you would agree with me on this. I'm just sort of guessing here, but most people, I would say in the US, certainly, in most developed countries, have figured out that treating women like they're inferior to men is bad, is sexist, is not good. It is a form of negative discrimination. Negative discrimination is a failure to extend moral consideration to one or more sentient beings who are different from either you or others. And I'm going to pause here again to see if either of you have any comments on anything I've said. Laura?
Yes. Experience I have experience in discrimination in interracial relationship marriage. And my husband is Black. And just as an example, we were just walking hand in hand in the mall, and a group of gentlemen barred through between us, shoved me on the floor, and it was very ugly. It got ugly fast. That was very impactful for me. You know, I never experienced that type of discrimination before in a relationship. It woke me up big time, you know. And another form of discrimination that I've experienced, and I'm going to say this is the positive kind of discrimination in my martial arts. I have had to work hard, even though the organization I'm with, they're right with me all the time, but I still have to prove myself because I'm not like a male gender has more muscle, and they have the capability. They're stronger, so they're able to do athletic stuff better than me. And as a martial artist, and you have to understand in martial arts, if you look, there's more gentlemen than there are women in this field. So I've had to practice and study and train and work and prove myself. And I'm blessed, honestly blessed, to be in an organization and to receive the blessings of the support that I need as a female in the industry. And I was honored. Actually, June 1st, I was indicted in the Mundu Hall of Fame as a living legend for 2024 Hapkido Master. Yeah. And that is huge. That for as a female in the industry, that is a huge stepping stone for me. And I want to say for other females who are in that industry.
Well, congratulations. It sounds like you're very accomplished, very proficient in what you do. And I'm so sorry about that incident that you described in the mall, I think you said.
Yes.
Do you feel that it's fair to say that when you've experienced negative discrimination, it has damaged you either temporarily or permanently, but it is a form of harm to you?
Yes, both. You go through a series of emotions when that happens to you. So I can I can relate to anyone who's been discriminated against in a degree. Okay, there are levels from, in my mind, of discrimination. That how far did they go with that?
Yeah.
I was very hurt. I'm like, I don't understand what's the problem. How can you be so small-minded?
Yeah.
We're not like we were before. I think that our mindsets, they really do need to change. But at the time, my mindset was drawn back on that experience. And my husband, his reaction was, when he got up and saw where I was, of course, he wanted to fight, which was absolutely wrong. And I grabbed him because I didn't know what was going to happen. It could have escalated to the worst of things. But it affected me. It has always stayed with me. And I've kept that going. Hey, you don't want to give anybody that feeling. Don't discriminate at all. And in martial arts, I work with so many people around the world. Actually, as an example, I have a Ukrainian who's a refugee from Ukraine. I'm teaching their little boy. I have people from Vietnam. I have Thai people. I have a lady from the UK, Americans. I have Jehovah Witness. I have Christians. I have Catholics. I have atheists. So I'm that mat is like a playing field of pure and fairness all the way across the board.
That's wonderful. I know I'm saying the obvious here, and I'm probably preaching to the choir a little bit, but when we act with negative discrimination, we harm others.
Mm-hmm.
We harm others, and we introduce conflict and very often violence. We reduce the levels of peace. So to anybody who is out there who values peace and harmony and not causing people harm, then embracing the idea of not having any negative discrimination is very important.
Yes, it is very important. I would like to add to that your response to the discrimination. That's important. You're going to get angry. You're going to get emotionally upset. And I've been teaching, and it's ironic how I'm saying this. I've been teaching for the last 2 or 3 weeks because we spar. And what we're trying to do is teach the students, do not spar with emotion. If you spar with emotion, you're going to go too far and you're going to get hurt or you're going to hurt someone. So when you react to discrimination, you need to pull your reins in as much as we're human. Okay. We don't put aside your emotion. We're human, but we need to stop. We need to stop. Okay. I've been discriminated against. I don't have to act like that. And I don't have to react in a negative manner to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've said it a lot of times in these shows, but most of the conflict, the violence, the hatred that is going on around this planet right now, most of it is secondary or tertiary behavior. Somebody does something that you don't like, and so you respond with negativity, and then they respond back, and then other people get involved, and it escalates and it spirals, and it continues not just for a few minutes, but often for hundreds of years.
Correct.
And if we could all, take on your example there of not responding with the same level of immorality, then the world, 90% of the conflict on the planet would just stop, or it would not be able to continue.
Yes.
When you look at, I talk about social media a lot because it's very prevalent in our lives now, but you look at how many people on social media are complaining about something that somebody else has done. They're complaining or they're attacking. Somebody has done something to them, so then they screenshot it and they post it for everybody to see. And it's like, oh my God, you're continuing to make things worse, and there's not the level of ascended behavior that we need to accomplish as a human species. We don't need to win every battle, every situation in a way that people see you winning. The real winning is happening in your own mind, and by not responding negatively to those people out there who just can't control themselves. Brendan, I'm going to ask you if you have anything you'd like to contribute.
Yeah, same with animals. Like, people judge different animals differently. Like yourself, Rupert, being a vegan, and I'm a vegan also. I feel like that people should get to know different animals, and different people goes about like different species, like speciesism and all that. So I think that people should get to know and spend time with different animals and see how sentient they are and how clever they are and how they think and how they act together. And just being around animals a fair bit now, I've found that they can be like family. And it doesn't matter, like I spent times with kangaroos and horses, and they just want to be loved and treated well, and that's all they need. And of course, you have to feed them and stuff like that. But you would just have to love different creatures.
Why do you think people treat different species differently?
Because of what others say, and people have bad ideas about different animals, and they think it's okay to hurt or harm different creatures because they haven't been around them much, or they have a negative view because they're a bit different, or they look not as they're not they haven't been around and in contact with them. And some people just like to make up that animals aren't sentient, or they're not like smart or clever or anything, but it's they're definitely just as smart as us. And the horses are like family to me, and just call some of my brothers and sisters. They're amazing.
Absolutely. It reminds me of, I think it's in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where Douglas Adams says something like, humans had always considered dolphins to be inferior because all they did was swim around in the ocean all day playing and having fun. And dolphins had always thought that humans were inferior for exactly the same reason. That's what they did all day long, and humans were out warring with each other, fighting with each other, and trying to build things. And there's a lot of lookism in the way we treat animals. Like, what really is the difference between a rat and a squirrel? Not much. Or a rat and a chipmunk, but one has a tail that is kind of worm-like, I suppose, and hairless, and one is all fluffy. And on the basis of that, pretty much, one looks cute and adorable to us, and one looks scary and unappealing to many people. And therefore, people are nice to squirrels or chipmunks, but they don't extend the same level of moral consideration to mice and rats. Same sort of things goes on with butterflies and with spiders. There's a lot of lookism involved. There's a lot of ways in which organisms, sentient beings, can be different from each other. And I am going to put up on the screen a little illustration, a little diagram to show some of the ways that people or organisms can be different. If we look at the middle there is the word me. And a lot of people, really, that's all they care about. What they fail to consider is that there are billions of people on this planet, and trillions of different animals on this planet. There are trillions of different sentient beings on this planet, in the oceans, under the ground, in the air. And the idea of treating just one of those as being more valuable than all of the others is really nonsensical. I get it. I get why people do it, and it's because we are the only people, we're the only sentient beings that we feel the emotion of directly. But if we can try and be more empathic, then we can treat others if we can recognize that other people's emotions are also valuable, that other people's emotions are as valuable to them, other people's well-being is as valuable to them as it is to ourselves, then the world would be a much better place. So in this diagram, it's not supposed to be linear in any particular way, but if we look away from ourselves, well, what have we got on there? Different genders. If we don't treat people with different genders, people or animals with different genders, with the same level of moral consideration as ourselves, or our own gender, then we are being sexist. So we can beat sexism by embracing people with different genders as being just as valuable and extending our moral consideration to them. People of different ages. Ageism is one of the biggest forms of negative discrimination that we face in our world. And I think a lot of people don't really get that. But young people are treated like their opinions don't really matter very often. They just don't get reality, where in fact, a lot of times the morality of young people is far in advance of older people that have been jaded and conditioned by living in this world. And older people are often discriminated against in many different ways, like they're not important anymore when they have a lot of experience and wisdom. So getting rid of sexism, getting rid of ageism, would be really valuable if we could do that as individuals on this planet. People with different appearance. Lookism, as I've said, is a thing. Have you ever seen anybody treat others differently because they look different? Maybe they appear in some people's subjective way to be more or less attractive, and therefore they get treated better or worse. People of different intelligence, people different nationalities, well, nationalism. It's incredible to me how many people just assume and believe that their country is the best in the world. When when people from any country stand up and says, we're the greatest nation in the world, we're the greatest country in the world, whichever country it is, it really makes me cringe. How are you measuring great? Because what you've said has just offended most of the population of the planet, has made you look very unwise, not very great at all. Can we get rid of our nationalistic tendencies and understand that people in other countries are still people? Now, we may not agree with everything that everybody says in every country. We may not agree with people's religious or political or social ways, but we still can give them moral consideration without immediate negative judgment. People with different ethnic backgrounds, racism, obviously, people with different incomes, people with different education often get discriminated against. And that's sort of systemic often, that the system, our society, doesn't give people with lower incomes the same opportunities as people with bigger incomes, with better educations, people with different accents, people of different socioeconomic statuses, people of different religions. Can we just be moral to everybody regardless of their religious beliefs, or do we need to, are we really only going to be nice to people who have the same religious beliefs as ourselves? Any beliefs, different beliefs of any kind, different politics. Can we be nice to people who are who subscribe to the policies of other political parties or philosophies? Can we be nice to people with different abilities or even disabilities? Because ableism is a thing. It's a form of negative discrimination. People with different sexual orientations. You know, all these different people I'm talking about, they're all real people with real emotions, with well-being that is either positive or negative. They all have good days, they all have bad days. And unless you have lived their lives, unless you were born into their bodies and their minds and their psychologies with their spirits, you don't know. You don't know them. You don't know what they're going through. And to judge any of these people negatively is just not okay. Judging people who have different moralities. Now, you know, it's okay to judge people's actions as being, well, not as moral based on your subjective opinions. But then how are you going to treat them because of it? Because there are no universal laws when it comes to morality. And when, you know, you have the right to live your life according to your moral standards, but when you start imposing your morality upon others and trying to convert them, for example, then that is negative discrimination. Different species. And of course, in the bottom right-hand corner there, I have different homeworlds. We communicate, myself and Andrea and Laura and Brendan, we all communicate with non-human entities, advanced non-human entities, many of which are extraterrestrial. And one day, when these beings land on this planet openly, how do you think humanity is going to treat them? Are we going to chase them down? Are we going to try and destroy them? We're going to try and convert them to our own set of beliefs? Or are we going to welcome them for who they are? There's a reason why we don't, as a species, have open and active relationships with these beings. And this is it, this negative discrimination. When we can treat everybody on this planet, when we can treat all terrestrial species with equal levels of goodness, then we will be ready to welcome in extraterrestrials.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Go ahead. Do either of you have anything else to say on that?
You had mentioned about the discrimination about individuals of their appearance. So as an example, and this is just one, well, I have several, but I could be getting off duty as a deputy sheriff. I'm just going to the grocery store to get something for the home. And all of a sudden I'll be in line, and the next thing I know, a parent will say, you see that cop? You see that cop right there? I'm gonna have them arrest you. So because you're doing wrong. But what happens with this is you're painting, you're giving your child the understanding that the police officer is a bad person. They're going to be frightened of you, so that they're developing a discriminating mindset as to what the badge, no matter what the badge is, represents. And that's scary. That honestly is very scary. Veterans who have limbs missing, children I've seen so frightened, and the parent will usher them away instead of going, here, let's introduce ourselves and get, so that the child can get a use, or not use, but not be frightened to see such, unfortunate dismemberment of a human body. It's a practice. We've got to practice. We've got to teach our kids to learn how to love with what we see, who people are, what they look like. And there's children. I have a grandson who has autism. He has autism, and it's stage 3. I'm sorry if you hear a snark. That's my dog.
Okay.
Sorry, that's what that sound was.
That's okay. We
Not in the
have some
room.
interesting sounds on Andrea's shows. There were lots of frogs
Yeah. Jeff
behind
Turner's frogs.
Jeff. Yeah, Jeff's frogs. Yes, Jonathan likes frogs.
But yes, you know, it's very important that we really make a practice of sharing let the kids know, raise them to know that just because there's a transgender individual, or there is a person who's a Vietnam vet who's got both legs missing, as an example, or hey, this woman has got the yellowest, purplest, greenest looking hair and it's standing up on end, don't be afraid of her. She's just expressive, as an example. Don't go, get away, get away. It's a practice, and we have to really instill in our children. And I believe that if every parent around the world did this with their children, I think, and now I know that the world will become very, very loving. There would not be all of this going on. I think our fighting, our differences, the wars would just come to an end. And the planet will raise up in its frequency and vibration. I really believe that with all my heart.
Yeah. I'm going to just throw in a comment from Melissa. Thank you for your comment. She says, and people have no clue how their words can just shatter someone. If somebody, whether you know them or not, says something mean to you, it's not just something you hear and you say, oh, well, I disagree with that, and then it's gone. It can really cut into people, especially good people. It can really cut into them and damage them spiritually, emotionally, can really hurt people. And she encountered a situation like that in a Facebook group recently that had her in tears because of somebody's comment that was just mean.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. Brendan, do you have anything you'd like to add before I continue?
I think that like I have autism too, and yeah, myself. So I have Asperger's or ASD. And in some way it helped me to understand different creatures more, like different respect, because they're different, a bit different to others, respect them the same, and that goes with everybody. So as long as they're innocent, respect them and give them love.
Yes,
absolutely. You know, one thing that I think all of us care about here, I know Andrea also cares about this, is animals, and so I want to talk a little bit about speciesism. It's extraordinary. We've already had 44 minutes. We've got less than 10 minutes left.
Oh,
feels
wow.
like we've got so much more we need to talk about. Maybe we should just carry on next week. But one of the most destructive problems on this planet is speciesism. And I think a lot of people really don't understand this. A lot of people just don't get how this is one of the biggest problems on this planet. It leads to the most common causes of death among humans. If you look at how most people die, most humans die, certainly in the US, in civilized countries, not civilized countries, developed countries, I apologize, that was a slip of the tongue. Then it's the most common cause of death is through lifestyle choices that are speciesist. It is also, speciesism is one of the two biggest causes of environmental destruction on this planet. People are familiar with the idea of the fossil fuel industry being the biggest cause of environmental destruction on this planet, but speciesism is right up there also. In some ways, it's even more destructive because the way we treat animals leads to the production of methane, which is about 85 times more warming as a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. So the daily contribution of most individuals on this planet to climate change is caused by the way that their lifestyle affects animals. We love dogs as members of our families, many people, but we kill and eat pigs. That's negative discrimination. Pigs don't look as cute, maybe as dogs. I mean, arguably, but they're more intelligent. Actually, if you study the science of intelligence, and if you ever go to sanctuaries, animal sanctuaries, and you interact with the pigs there, they are just like dogs, but a little bit more intelligent. We treat horses often very well, at least we openly say that we do, but we do absolutely atrocious things to cows. When you think about what cows have to go through, if we were to do those things to humans, people would consider us to be evil, sadistic. So I'm now addressing a subject that is actually very hard for a lot of people to listen to. And if you're hearing what I'm saying and you're sticking with me, I love you guys, because it's hard to stick with, to continue to listen to somebody when it's starting to move you in a direction towards discomfort, maybe even starting to move you in a direction towards, hang on, is Rupert implying that we need to change in some way? But if you're a good person, then I encourage you to listen to my words and to consider them. Don't just accept what I say as being true, but consider them as something maybe to have a little look into. Go away and watch some documentary movies, like, for example, What the Health, if you're interested in your own health. Cowspiracy, if you're interested in being nice to animals. A Life on Our Planet, David Attenborough, if you're interested in environmental things. If we are truly interested in treating all conscious, sentient beings without any form of negative discrimination, then we do need to change the way that our society treats animals. If a moral principle is applicable to anybody, then it should be applicable to everybody. All of the same moral principles should apply to all conscious beings, to all people on this illustration that I have in front of me. That is what we mean by universal peace. You're not a peaceful person if your lifestyle choices are killing.
Very true.
You're not you can't claim to think that universal love is an ideal that you share if your lifestyle choices are not loving to all beings. You can't love beings and then pay for them to be killed. If you think universal happiness or well-being are things to aspire to, etc., this is where sometimes society trains us up to behave in ways that are contrary to what we intellectually and emotionally can know to be true. Laura, do you have 30-second anything else you want to add to this session?
Practice stopping When something is said to you or done towards you, stop, don't react, practice this. It's going to be difficult because you're human. You have feelings. That's what we are. That's what we do. Acting out on those feelings, though, have, just as even on the positive side, has consequence, major consequence. And you don't want to go through your life constantly acting out. Well, no. It's practice stopping, relaxing, and remove yourself.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. You're not doing anything wrong if you remove yourself. I've done it.
Yeah.
I encourage everybody to try.
Thank you. Brendan, do you have any final comments or words?
Yeah, just yeah, I think that just getting out to know different beings and making friends with them is amazing, and it might change some people's mind about what they do. Yeah. So yeah, that's
Absolutely.
and if animals can talk a human language, and I think more people will understand, but you sort of have to spend time with them and get to know them that way, because they talk to you in their own way. So I think people, I encourage people to go out and actually sit with them and get to know them and talk to them. And same goes with people. Like if you think someone else is different or someone, just go out and talk to them or spend time with them.
Very,
And
very
see what
wise words.
their life's like. And yeah.
Thank you very much, Brendan. I apologize
Thank you.
to cut you off. We have about 15
That's all
seconds
good.
left. This is a Facebook group where I'm gathering a nice community of non-discriminatory people. I encourage people to join us there if you would like to. I would like to thank everybody who is out there, who is watching this show. Please join us for a world awakening if you like, in just a few minutes. Peace, love, and happiness to all of you. Take care. Goodbye.
Much love.
Thank you. Bye.